Hello, Savvy people. This is your girl Jennifer Orisakwe, and you are on the Savvy Podcast. Here on this platform, we discuss all things career, entrepreneurship, self development, creativity, finance, life as a digital nomad, and more. We hope that by sharing these experiences and stories, young people would learn and be able to make better and informed decisions. Welcome to this episode. If you're new, or even if you've been watching for a while, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. You're welcome to the Sami Podcast. On this spectacular episode, I have a very special person in the house, in person of Ukpongote Esu. Esu. Why did I have to repeat the name? Okay, we'll get to that. Esu is a professional in the area of advertising, communications, branding, and marketing with an experience, with 6 years of experience in this particular field. And I have him here in the house, and we're discussing ideation and creating unforgettable experiences. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I was surprised. I was waiting for when you pronounce my name, and I'm like, will she get it? Will she get it? And I was like, okay.
Hope you're not going to.
No, I'm fine. I get that a lot. So I can just do it for the record. The name is Ukpongote Esu. I know even people that will hear may not get the pronunciation.
So I got it. Yeah. Yay! All right, welcome to the Sorry Podcast.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to have you here. So I'm just curious. I mean, I mentioned the name like I knew what I was saying. But what does Esu mean?
Esu is it means great, but it's a translated meaning, so it's not like the direct meaning. It's
Where
great.
exactly are you from?
I'm from Oron, Akwa Ibom State. Yeah, probably.
The Afang people.
You know, the Afang, the very good crayfish, the great fish,
Interesting.
good food.
Okay, so maybe after this we're going to have Afang. Welcome to the Sami Podcast once again. And I'm glad that I have you here. So just like I had mentioned when I was introducing you, I spoke about you as a professional in advertising, communications, branding, and education. And I'm sort of curious, what's your creative process like? How do you come about concepts?
So I think that there's no like straight jacket answer to it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have a task and you can go for a couple of hours without figuring like where do I start? Or you can even start and then maybe you realize, oh, that's really not where I should have started from.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm one of the people that believe in like, let me just go with the flow.
Okay.
In the sense that I have a number of ideas. When I hear things, I have ideas. Like if you give me a brand now and tell me, oh, this is what this brand wants to do, I would already be able to create some ideas.
Okay.
So it's not my creative process. I don't know if it's something that's set in stone that you can like teach
Okay,
and
so
say.
it's not cast on stone.
Yes,
so
yes. It's very
go with
random.
Okay.
It's very random, but it is always there.
Okay.
So even if it's random, like you will not give me a task and then I'll tell you there's no idea.
Interesting.
Exactly. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So I mean, our listeners would think Esu is just like any regular guy, but Esu is actually like a big professional in one of the biggest media houses in Africa. I'm not saying Nigeria, I mean Africa. So now I'm beginning to think of probably campaigns you've created in the past. Can you share one of the most memorable campaigns you've ever created?
So for me, I'd say because most of my campaigns are just internal,
Okay.
we don't take it outside. It's something. So let me even define properly.
Okay.
Currently, what I do is more involved in, or more. We concentrate more on defining like and creating real culture.
Okay.
What people live, not what we just write on the walls in the offices and put. So we have to create experiences that would reflect that people would see, things that people would experience, and then all those things, nice things that you say in your office, people can experience them without you writing them on the wall. So if you go around the office, you may not see things written, but we have a general behavior. So it's very much of creating small campaigns, subtle campaigns, the ones that everybody sees, the ones that people get involved in without even knowing that they're part of the campaign.
Oh, interesting.
Exactly. So I would say, I don't know how much detail I can give.
Okay.
Yeah, but then we have a
Don't worry, we'll take the small
okay.
bits to share.
We have a campaign that was geared at making people to believe the behavior, the culture.
The behavior, culture in offices.
So I would start with let me use the example of the previous place I worked.
Okay.
We had this when the company started. They said, "Oh, we want to reflect Africa to the world. We want people to understand that Africa has a voice, and the world is listening to Africa now. But really, what is Africa saying? And we want you guys in this company to be the ones to be that voice of Africa. This is what Africa is saying."
Okay.
We were trying to challenge a skewed perception of Africa. And what we tried to do at the beginning was the basic thing: you create a manifesto, do the brand design. I don't mean like the logo and all that, like the personality and all of the brand, so that when people come in, what they feel would make them believe whatever you say.
Okay.
So it was very subtle.
Yeah.
How did we do it? The kind of content that we were sharing, the kind of discussions we had, it even went all the way to the type of people that were recruited, because you have to we have to see that you can buy into the culture first.
Okay, so I mean, like for someone who is watching now that doesn't understand, so this is more like in corporate system.
Yes.
Companies deliberately create the perception they want of their offices.
So what that whole thing is branding, basically.
Okay. Yeah, it's branding.
And branding is really not like the logo and all those are like visual elements of a personality that exists. So that when you see those other things, you can say, if I meet this brand or I use this product, this is what I will get. You can already tell.
Yeah.
So companies have to be deliberate about, like, even with their staff. Because if the people who are meant to work and sell the product don't believe it, then selling becomes very difficult, because it's more like whipping the horse to work. The horse doesn't see the need to run. And companies now sit down and say, "Oh, let's design a culture." And that culture is strategically designed to align with whatever goals and objective. Okay. I'll give you a very simple example. A company like Google, if you see pictures of the Google office, you can already tell this is designed for people who think differently. Who are,
of course.
I know I picked the Apple line in there, but yes, the Google people, like, oh, this is a creative space. Yeah. It's not because Google just wants to be playful. It's because they want the people to believe. If companies are not deliberate about branding, somehow, one way or the other, you will get a brand. So if you don't design it and pursue it, the public perception will be what determines what your brand is. Your brand is that experience they have. So let me give a very general example. Okay. Tailors in Nigeria. Tailors don't need to brand themselves. Nigerians just say, "You never deliver on time." Yeah. That's the experience they have. Okay. That's what they typed. So if you tell someone I'm a tailor, that's one of the things that will come to their mind. And without you, the individual tailor, defining a brand for yourself, you've already been branded as Amaka would disappoint. You would always disappoint. You never come on time. So to avoid that, companies would sit and design something. Okay. And then they would make sure that this design, this thing, personality that we design, is who we are, it follows through in all the touch points with the audience. So from the logo to the way the building looks. There was a time GT Bank wanted us to believe that they're the bank for the free thinking people, upward. So all their branches, they didn't have fences around the banks. And they were saying all the buildings will be different. So you will not see two GT banks that have the exact same building, unlike FCMB that have. So there are some small things like that. And I remember during that period, they were winning a lot of customer service awards. They were deliberate about how the people in the bank
they were the people's talk to.
Actually. Yes. So that is what proper planning can do. Like you design this, you make sure that it's not just get a very nice logo and have nice adverts, and when people walk into your branches, the experience is different from what you've said. When people buy the product, it doesn't match the promise you've given. So
controversies begin to speak.
Exactly. And what people believe more than what you say is their experience and word of mouth. So you can be there saying, we are the best in this product or for this service, and people experiences have not matched that thing. They will believe their experiences before you. So there's companies creating that brand, designing it.
Yeah.
Then there is a team that would say, in all the places that we engage with the audience, the touch points with the public, we have to make sure that it filters through and people experience this thing we've said. When you do that, then you can come out like an apple. And if you create a shoe, people just believe it's a creative, the best of the best. I usually use the example of if they tell you Apple is making a car, in your mind you can tell how that car would be sophisticated, classy, and that's because you understand the brand.
Yes.
That's the personality they've developed. Doesn't mean other people are not creating things like that. No, but they've defined it properly. But if, for instance, there are some brands, I don't want to mention any brand and talk down, but there are brands that if I tell you that they are creating a different product, you can't even tell how the product would be. You're just like, we don't know what it would be like. Yeah, so that's what defining and creating that brand, that designing that brand and making sure that people experience it, that's what it is like. So from your ideation to that experience, that's what it is.
Okay, that's great. So I'm just thinking, so how do you as an individual, I mean, I know you work with a team, but how do you try to stay relevant with like industry trends and putting more creativity into what you do?
So I like to believe creatives, as much as we like to say, oh, we are so creative and all that, you are the sum of all your experiences. And if you want to be more creative, then experience more.
So immerse yourself in the creativity.
So many things. Read, watch other people's things, just experience more. If it means traveling, if it means, I don't know, experiencing some of those things. So, for instance, maybe you want to be on set when they're shooting other people's commercials. You want to understand the process. There are websites where you can go and just watch adverts if that's your thing. You listen to the radio. You have to also be in touch with the real people, because whatever you're creating, you have to understand the people you're creating it for.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you are not just going to be in a silo experiencing things and creating things that are not relevant to the audience. So you have to also be in that circle of knowing what's happening in pop culture, social life, every single part of life. So you're like a sponge. So
okay, so what's your ideal project? What's something you would always want to work on? Like at the flip of a finger, you wouldn't think about it twice.
I think you'll be creating commercials.
Creating commercials. Why commercials? I mean, it's interesting, I know, because even me, I love watching
good commercials.
Good commercials.
Yeah. For me, it is tying creativity to like problem solving.
Okay.
And in my head, I see them like it's like a puzzle, and I'm trying to put the pieces together. And when you put it together, you feel it. Like, so now this is a great campaign.
So
this will be a great campaign. There's so much joy. And then when you see the way people respond to it, how their faces light up, that satisfaction, that, oh, they get me.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It is.
Okay, so I'll just travel down a bit. I mean, like looking at how you started out and where you are at the moment, I'm beginning to think, what project really made an impact in your career? Or what initiative have you worked on that made a strong impact in your career?
So I would pick one that made me to like take this as a career.
Okay.
So it might not be the biggest that I have worked on, but the one that made me to say, oh, this is something I would love to do. And it was when I was in my second year in university.
Okay.
I think someone was looking for a writer and then someone else that knows me suggested. I said, "Oh, I know this young guy and he writes. You should just give him a shot."
Okay.
And he called me up and said, "Oh, I will need you to write this." That time I did not even know how to split a script into visual, audio, or nothing. I just knew I could write. I could imagine things and write them out. And he called me and said, "Sit down. This is what I want you to do. When you think of what would be showing, write what would be showing and what you think people should be saying."
Okay.
And he said, "I need you to write this script." It was a project for one of the breweries that time. And he said, "Oh, just write and bring it back. When can you bring it?" I said, "Oh, maybe tomorrow or next." So he said, "Okay, next tomorrow." And then I wrote it and sent it to him. And he called me to the office. And he printed it out. And he tore it and said, "Write another one."
How did you feel when you saw it?
I was confused. I was like, why is he telling me maybe I'm not good enough?
Yeah.
So he tore it and he said, "Write another one."
Okay.
He took me to they have a creative room and said, "Sit there." Nobody else was there. So I wrote another one and I sent it to him and said, "Oh, this is even better than the first." And he said, "I thought it because I thought someone helped you and I wanted to be sure you did it by yourself."
So that was the test.
Yes. And why I picked this as the most significant for me is I didn't know there was all this as a career. When I was leaving his office, aside like paying me like a full-time writer at that time, like I was in university. He told
That was
me
like your first job.
that was like my first paid job, yeah. And he's like, "Do you know you can make a living with this?" And for me, that was like the eureka moment. And I'm like, this that is just like fun. People actually make a living with this, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can make a living. That I think you have great potential."
Yeah.
When I finished from school, this same person took me to an agency, to the creative director of an agency, and said, "Give him work. He's good enough."
Okay, now this is making me think. So I know you had mentioned that you studied at the University of Ghana,
Yes.
Legon, and I'm beginning to think, and you also claimed that you are the best. I mean, the
Legon
University of Ghana
Legon is
of Ghana
actually
is
the
actually,
best. Yeah.
it's actually the best. Now he's bringing his ideation and branding thing on. Okay, so I believe. Okay, so I'm thinking. Oh, sorry. Rather, I was going to ask, what did you study?
Yeah. So at University of Ghana, I studied economics. And if I say it, you say he always says, it's the best, but really, economics is the best course.
No, of course, I agree with you that economics is the best course. But I'm just trying to put together, I mean, your career and what you actually studied.
How I segued into this branding.
So more like it is just like a creative job was like your first role.
Yes.
So that means you've never gotten to practice economics, which you originally studied, if I'm correct.
I don't see it that way.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't see it that way. I see economics, people see economics as, it's the maths, is the, demand, the supply, the understanding macro. And I see economics as, like like I keep saying, what's the basic idea? And it is understanding human behavior. And it's when you understand human behavior, you can tell how people respond to, the price has increased, how would they respond? Yeah, and then you have your law of demand and law of supply. So you can have, it's understanding human beings and knowing, almost like predicting what they would do so you know how to act. Okay. And if you think about it, that's basically what branding and advertising is. Because in branding, you are trying to understand the audience and align everything again.
So you're still in sync.
So economics for me is studying human behavior, and human behavior cuts across all these things. Okay. So it was a very, very good foundation. Okay. And while the people who did not study economics are just thinking of how these lovely words and all these things would influence people, I can include how these lovely words and how your price dynamics and your market strategy together would affect
you
these
have an
people.
edge over a regular economist.
I would like to say yes, but
Yeah, obviously that's what it is.
but yeah.
Okay, so my curiosity leads me to ask, how did you even get into? Because for our viewers, like I mentioned before, and I'm mentioning again, just for emphasis, that Esu is not your regular creative guy. Like he works in one of the biggest media houses in
Jesus
Africa.
Christ.
Yeah, I'm ringing the bell. So I would like to know, how did you even get your first job?
My first job or
Sorry, not
this
your
current
first
one
job, your current job.
is a very weird story. And
Okay.
as much as I would say, oh, I thank God, and God placed somebody.
Mhm.
Yeah, in, I had a friend who somebody recommended the job to him, and he had looked at, oh, this is what they want, this, and he just came to my table and said, hey, apply for this. You're the perfect fit for it.
Okay.
But then it was for me, I was just like, okay, because I loved the job I had.
Mhm.
I'm the person that I don't want to work in any place that I won't be happy.
Okay.
So if I'm working somewhere I'm not happy, I'm just bidding time. Okay, so I love my job, and I'm like, okay, let me just apply for this as a. You never know what will come
Yeah.
out of it. So I applied,
But did
went.
you know how big it was going to be at the time?
I knew the company, but for me, one of the things that attracted me to my last job and this current one was maybe because I have this branding background. I was like, what do you really want to achieve? Are you just making money? And I know it sounds weird, like people like, how can you? Is money first? Yes, like even if you're going to achieve something great, like you give me a good salary, right?
Of course.
Okay, so it's not like I don't like the money, but so when he gave me the job, I applied like everyone and went for the interview. At the interview, I think I was the oddball. Like I went there with jeans, with my hair looking like the way it is.
And everybody was on set.
Others were, yeah, because they had
What?
written that it's a corporate role.
Yeah.
So people were in suits, the ladies were on dress suits and all looking all corporate and right.
And they'd be like,
And
this guy.
yeah, I maybe because I have my self-esteem intact, so I didn't feel different. In my head, I'm like, well, I know that like I can deliver, so
Exactly.
it's not really. And I'm not advising people not to dress properly for
Yeah, I
interviews.
get
Yeah,
you. I get
like
you.
if you're the person that does it, it might even be an added advantage. You have the
Yeah.
confidence, you have everything, and then. But I'm just being myself. That I don't want to go and work anywhere I can't be myself. Where I have to start wearing a suit every day. I love wearing a suit, but once a while, not like every
Like
day.
every day.
And then I did it was the written part, and then there was the presentation. During the presentation, I was talking and laughing and chatting and just very free.
Yeah.
And
You're
then I
just
went.
practically enjoying yourself.
Yeah, because like I said, I went there from a place of comfort. Like I had a job that I
So you
was
have
happy
nothing to
with.
lose.
Exactly. It's just another trial. Whatever comes out of it, I would go with the flow.
Yeah.
So when they called me back for the job and all, I was going to meet with the CEO, and I went that way again. I think this time I even had crazy jeans, like
Oh
torn
my
on the
goodness.
knees, and it's not out of disrespect for them.
Yeah, I get you.
It
But that's
was
just who you are.
yes, because I want you to see what you're getting. I don't want to come and pretend and then so
And
what you
have
see
so
is
much
what you get.
expectations and
Then I come in and then yeah, like no, where you came in a suit, this role. So if from the get go, if this is not for me, tell me.
okay.
You already know that this is the kind of person that you're getting, and yeah, somehow they were happy with what I could offer
You
them.
swept them off their feet.
I wouldn't say that. I
Obviously
wouldn't
it
say
is
that,
because
but
I mean for you to
then
get the job then of course you were able to do that.
I think there's also luck in all these things, and there's the
Oh,
grace of God, and
yeah, sure.
yeah,
All of those
yeah.
things get to play part. And I would ask for a young professional now who is thinking of delving into advertising, communications, marketing, what would you advise? How does this person start? So let's say this person is an undergraduate.
Yeah.
How do you think they should start building up their career?
I'll tell you two. use the time when nobody requires you to do work to immerse yourself in the work. Like, look at the adverts, watch them, try and understand. Oh, this is an emotional sell, right? This is a rational one. Why did they sell like this? What kind of audience? If you understand those things very well, you give yourself. If it's fun for you, you'll be giving yourself some examples. I sit down in traffic sometimes and I'm creating an advert in my head and I write it on my phone. And I know that the brand I'm creating it for, they don't know me, nothing.
Okay.
I'll just sit down and create those things for myself till now, even when that's not the job I'm doing for. So I would advise the person to just immerse yourself at this time, soak up as much as you want. There are places to watch great adverts. There are articles that would give you the kind of insights.
Could you give like some resources that our viewers could actually access?
So there's adsoftheworld.com,
Okay.
I think that's what it's called. There's Ad Forum. There's Losers Archive. Yeah, like on YouTube, if you just type it, as simple as that, best 10 adverts of, you would find some amazing adverts that you know when you watch a good advert, it's almost like the same feeling with a very good movie.
Exactly.
It's just like, oh
wow,
my god, somebody thought about this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's something so simple
because it just evokes an emotion.
Yes. So when you are starting out, that's what you want to fill yourself with. Because what happens is, by the time you get on a job and they're giving you timelines, you are not able to really create so much at that time. What you can do is to find things from that you've experienced and see how you can align them most times. So the greatest artists are like those who copy, right?
Yeah.
So you are going to pick that idea, you copy it in a way that highlights what this particular client wants from you. It may not be something that you created on the spot, but if you've not experienced over time, you've just been doing only the schoolwork. I know the mass comm guys will be looking at me like, yeah, the schoolwork and all that. Yes, yeah. But you need to find those things and experience them. Understand why people are doing things. Find someone that would mentor you. Okay. Find some. For me, I sat beside. I'll just have to call names. I sat beside. There are two people who just changed my life, and I did not spend so much time with them. Okay. I sat beside Sheyi Owolawi. It's like the shortest period, but it's like the most brilliant part. Okay. There was Tolu Ajayi, who, to me, I can't even call people that have helped me on this journey without mentioning him. Yeah. And then there was a Shola. So what he did was, for the first week, he sat me down and said, good adverts, bring them out. I want to see if you have the eye. Yeah. Good adverts. Okay. And then you break down the adverts in front of him and say, oh, this one is irrational, this is emotional, this is what they were selling, this is the audience. At that time, I had not done any advert before. I was just a greenhorn, like nothing. Yeah. And for me to get that kind of experience is like 4 or 5 years of school. Of course. Because these are people that have, at that time, maybe 10, 15 years experience or more. Yeah. And they are
you're really privileged to have that experience.
Exactly. So when they tell you intern somewhere, they will use the intern for a lot of things. But you as the intern, you have to find a way to also use the organization to develop yourself. So if you are trying to develop yourself in this field, I think those two things, getting yourself immersed in great work and finding someone who can mentor you, you'll go places.
Thank you so much, Esu. It's been amazing having you, honestly. And these conversations, I really believe, will help young people, make better and informed decisions towards building a career in advertising, in communication, and branding and marketing as well. It's been amazing having you.
Thank
and
you.
We're definitely going to eat that.
All right.
So to our viewers, thank you so much for listening. Continue to like, continue to share, and subscribe as well to the channel. I remain your host, Jennifer Orisakwe. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section below.